The next question here is, how do we stop blaming ourselves for using plants to help us reach higher levels of consciousness and not feel like we are bypassing and cheating? Okay, so I'm gonna read this question again because it's a little odd to me. How do we stop blaming ourselves for using plants to help us reach higher levels of consciousness and not feel like we are bypassing and cheating? Okay, so I get what the person is saying. The reality to this is that if you let others dictate to you what is right and what is wrong in respect to what you feel you should be doing, and also accepting blame from others, you have to be on point with this. Obviously there's constructive criticism, obviously there's guides and mentors, but there's also that aspect of you that you have to always say, well, this is what I want to do. And if it's something that you want to do, I would uninstall things that say you're not supposed to do that, because then you're never going to get to the full completion of whatever you're doing. I find in life that anything that you engage in, especially for a prolonged period of time, you eventually get tired of doing it. And so anything that you're saying, oh, that's something that I want to do, and you feel like you want to do it, it's best to actually explore that within yourself to finally get to the point where you're saying, okay, I did that. Let me move on to a more refined aspect of it. So in this case, I don't think one should blame themselves for utilizing things in the reality to allow them to peer into other aspects of their consciousness. I don't think that I think that in one side of the consciousness, mainly the I-ness, it doesn't really want to experience the totality. So it's naturally going to begin to reject things that actually push it into that collective aspects of things. But also, just like the referee needs to jump in sometimes, you get some that are actually so deep into the collective that they've actually lost the identity of truly who they are as far as what they're here to do with their uniqueness. And that could actually be equally as dangerous, because then what you get is you get this massive group, which is functioning as a collective, great. But the issue with collectives, because there are, is that there's little growth. There's little new things happening in the collective. Everything feels like it has already gained everything that it needs and that there's nothing else to add to it. That is, again, the pros or the cons of being actually in a collective. So if you can imagine in a group, and they talk about this, that would happen in the tribal setting quite often, that in the tribal setting, that you would seldom see anything new. Everybody was into the old custom. The custom was practiced at this time of the week. And also, you can even witness many of these cultures. They actually have a holiday almost for every single day of the week and every single month of the year and every single year and every 5 years and 6 years. And this puts you into this cyclic behavior where, just like a collective is, it's very much like a circle where you never can really break out of that circle. It's just like there's no new innovations, as if there's nothing new. And this means that every being there actually stays in that type of consciousness and has a slower amount of growth. Now, again, the benefits of this is everything has been tried and tested. So generally you don't run into things that nobody has seen before. But again, the drawbacks of this is also not being able to really explore and to gain new levels of awareness to enhance or synthesize things that may have been been concrete before. And that's what, so this is also why you would want to have a firm grip and a strong grasp on both sides of your consciousness, so that you can understand if you're doing one of those in the extreme level. As I said, you are the arbitrator, you are the referee. So you got to be the one in there saying, how am I keeping the balance here? So that's what I have to lend to that, instead of feeling like you're cheating and, all this. Just think about also that if you stop doing it with this, to show you that it's a condition of the mind, if you stop doing it with this idea about the plants and reaching higher states of consciousness and people think you're cheating, etc., and you just stop doing that, something else is going to arrive. This is how you'll know that it's the condition of the consciousness. Now it's going to be that you're driving this car and this car has oil and you should really go over to electric. Okay, so then you may, go extenuously to try to get rid of your car. Now you bought this electric vehicle and now you feel like you got that out of the way and you're like, let me listen to a video. And then you listen to a video on somebody saying it's about looking at videos and watching liquid crystal displays and how that burns out your face and burns out your eyes and sends all this retina electromagnetic frequencies at you. And then so you turn that off. Okay, I'm gonna turn that off. All right, I'm not okay. So I'm doing that. I'm not doing that anymore. I just got to get something to eat. Then you open the refrigerator and it begins again. And this kind of life, which I actually think is a part of I actually think it's a part of the bigger conspiracy to our existence, that somehow we've been locked into this thing that wants to judge us consistently as not worthy. And this actually affects our vibrational frequency. So we live less long. We don't live as long. And we're not as excited about the existence and the reality, especially like when when we're children, we're not thinking about any of this stuff. And you're almost like in this straitjacket. So if you really adhere to every single thing that is being said, you can go nowhere, you can eat nothing, you can say nothing, you can talk to no one, and it becomes really miserable. And if that's what consciousness or super consciousness is, I'm not in. And I can boldly say that to anyone or anything around me. I don't want to be involved, because that, to me, does not feel like that I'm actually expanding and I'm actually becoming more of a grander being. And I think that many will agree that same way. I'm sure there'll be a percentage that don't, and they'll thumbs down the video. But hey, I just have to be truthful with myself, especially these days, and in the maximum awareness that time is fleeting and that you need to get to the completion of many of these goals, so that way you can actually set a firm foundation and start building from there. But if it's always shaky, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I really want to be with her. I don't really want to know. And if I'm going to have children, I don't really want to know if I want to start a company. I don't really know if I should start a bank account. I don't really think I need an ID. I don't even know if I should buy this car. If your foundation looks like that, you cannot build anything. And even more importantly, you can't actually put anyone else on that foundation, because the moment, have you ever seen somebody try to carry something on an unbalanced foundation, and what happens? They either break down, they fall, all those kind of things. So you have to be able to actually give yourself also a visual of what is happening inside of your consciousness. And that visual oftentimes give you the awareness of if you're going to be able to continuously use such principles.